which include FAS, FOB, CFR, and CAF. So let's briefly go over these 11 terms. Sometimes just remembering the acronym can be challenging, but if you remember what these three letters stand for, it will be easier to understand the content of the term.
The easiest way to remember is to use the 1343 diagram. Imagine the clauses as players on a soccer field.
Hello, welcome back to the Vi Import-Export channel, a channel dedicated to sharing knowledge about the import-export field. In the previous video, Vi shared the essential knowledge for an import-export salesperson, which included a part about Incoterms. Vi believes this is not only the most basic knowledge for those of you working as sales expert, but everyone involved in the import-export field needs to understand it. So the question arises, is there a way to remember Incoterms easily, quickly, and without forgetting them for a long time? And specifically, are the latest Incoterms from 2020 or not? The answer is yes, and today Vi will reveal to you the method I use to remember them, a trick that is easy, quick, and helps you remember for a long time. Let's go. Are you ready to explore this with Vi? The best trick for Incoterms 2020, easy, quick, and long-lasting memory. The first is for those of you who don't have one yet. Incoterms is short for International Commercial Incoterms. This means the terms of international trade. There are three most recent versions of Incoterms: 2000, Incoterms 2010, and Incoterms 2020. It's important not to misunderstand that you must use the latest version, Incoterms 2020. If a contract specifies, or the buyer and seller agree to use a particular version, such as Incoterms 2010, you are entirely allowed to use that version. It is not mandatory to use Incoterms 2020. Therefore, in this presentation, I will not only talk about Incoterms 2020, but also introduce you to Incoterms 2010, so that when customers refer to Incoterms 2010, you will be informed and understand the differences between Incoterms 2010 and Incoterms 2.0. Alright, so the first part I will go through is about the contents within our Incoterms, which will include on the left is the seller obligation, which is the responsibility of the seller, and on the right is the buyer obligation, which is the responsibility of the buyer. It will include a total of 10 main parts. First is the general obligation, which refers to the general responsibilities. Bill of lading delivery pertains to the delivery and receipt of goods. Transfer of via import-export is about the transfer of risk. Due carriage is about transportation. Insurance covers insurance matters. Delivery and transport document refers to the transport documentation. Export-import insurance relates to customs clearance for both export and import. Checking, packaging, marketing tool covers inspection, packaging, allocation, and cost. It involves the distribution of expenses. And notice, it means attention. The four main points we focus on in the Incoterms are the bill of lading delivery, which is the place where the goods are transferred. Transfer of via import-export refers to the transfer of risk. Due carriage pertains to transportation, and allocation of cost relates to expenses. Okay. In the next slide, I will share with you the most fundamental differences between Incoterms 2010 and Incoterms 2020. On your left is Incoterms 2010, and on your right is Incoterms 2020. Both of these have a total of 11 terms, from number 1 to number 11. Among them, there are 7 terms. First, it is intended for if it involves the mode of transportation. Any mode of transport can be used whether by sea, air, or land, and for frameworks, products. The last 4 terms are delivery methods under Incoterms, specifically for sea transport, which include FAS, FOB, CFR, and CAF. So let's briefly go over these 11 terms. It's very important for you to easily remember the content of each term by focusing on the name, the full name of the term. Sometimes just remembering the acronym can be challenging, but if you remember what these 3 letters stand for, it will be easier to understand the content of the term. For example, exord means delivery at the warehouse An FCA means free carrier, which means delivery to the carrier. CPT means carriage paid to, which means paying the transportation fee. CIP stands for carriage, and insurance pay to, meaning in addition to paying the transportation fee, the insurance fee is also covered. DAP means delivered at place, which refers to delivery at a specific location. DPU stands for delivered at place unloaded, meaning delivery at a location and the goods will be unloaded from the transport vehicle. Unloaded means to unload. DDP means delivered duty paid, which includes delivery, and paying the duty, referring to the tax part. For example, it includes paying the import tax. Then, fares is free, so alongside ship, which means delivery alongside the ship. FOB means free on board, which means delivery on board the ship. CFR is cost and freight, which means cost and freight. CIF, cost insurance and freight, means the cost of insurance and freight. That's when you just need to always remember the English names of these Incoterms, and you can partially guess the meaning of each term. Now, the most fundamental difference between Incoterms 2020 and Incoterms 2010 lies in three areas. First is CFR. In Incoterms 2020, CFR clearly specifies the case of free onboard bill of lading in the LC payment section. This will be explained further when dealing with LC. Next is the CIP term. CIP includes insurance as the freight. In Incoterms 2010, CUOC is merely a requirement for the seller to purchase freight under the C terms. However, in Incoterms 2020, it requires the seller not to purchase freight, but insurance. To purchase insurance under the A terms, meaning all risks, which is more comprehensive. The insurance clause is broader compared to Incoterms 2010. And the third point is the DPU. In Incoterms 2010, it used the Incoterms DAT. By Incoterms 2022, it completely changed DAT to DPU. It added the scenario of delivery at a point where the goods have been unloaded from the transport vehicle. Alright, that's the basic part. Next, I will show you a tip, a way to remember. First, remember the number of Incoterms clauses. Second, remember the part about the groups within these Incoterms. This will be an advantage for the gentleman because we will use the method of using the diagram from a soccer field diagram. The easiest way to remember is to use the 1343 diagram. Imagine the clauses as players on a soccer field. And the one here is the X word. It stands alone. So it is the X works delivery. Then this soccer field is divided into two sections. In the middle here is like the delivery part from the seller to the buyer. Then the second group, 2 in green, is the F group. It includes FS, FCA, and FOB are the three terms of the F group, right? Then the C group will have 4 terms. This yellow group will be CFR, CAF, CBT, and a CIP. The CIP covers more broadly, so it is placed above CBT. Then, and the final group is the D group, which includes 3 terms, DAP, DDP, and DPU. So when you imagine a diagram in soccer, it becomes very easy to visualize each group and the number of Incoterms in each group. Okay, in the next section, we will delve into the details of each payment term, along with each payment clause in the 4 main contents that we need to focus on here. These are delivery, which is the point of transferring goods, transfer of via import-export, which usually coincides with the transfer of goods, carriage, which determines who will hire the ship, and cost, which identifies who will bear the expenses, and up to what point. We will have 1, 2, 3, 4 key points to pay attention to. The exporter, which is the exporter, the port of departure, which is the export port, the port of insurance, which is the import port, and the importer, which is the importer. To make it easier,
To remember, you can simply draw a simple diagram noting these 4 points and palm, and then we can proceed. Write the terms on it, like the diagram that Vi is sharing here. The first step is export, and you might notice that the placement of each of these terms is actually the point called the seller's delivery point. The seller delivers after the buyer, even though here export is placed right at the seller's warehouse. The seller's responsibility ends here as they deliver the goods at their warehouse. The rest is up to the buyer, who will be responsible for arranging transportation to pick up the goods. For CFR and FCA, the seller must deliver the goods, VI, to the buyer's transportation vehicle. Instead of placing the goods at the warehouse, the seller loads them directly onto the buyer's vehicle, and their part of the job is considered done. The remaining responsibility lies with the buyer. VI, the transportation is hired by the buyer, and the buyer pays for it. This F group includes FCA and also FAS, which means delivery alongside the ship. The seller will deliver the goods alongside the ship's rail at the designated loading port. Once the seller places the goods alongside the ship's rail, their responsibility is considered complete. The buyer will be responsible for arranging transportation. Okay? Alright. The next term is FOB, which stands for free on board, meaning delivery on board the ship. The seller will deliver the goods onto the ship, instead of placing them alongside the ship as in the FAS term. This is considered the completion of their responsibility. And the rest is the buyer's responsibility, of why the buyer will hire a shipping company, charter a ship, and pay the freight charges. Alright, next is Group C. Group C includes 4 terms: CFR, CAF, CBT, and KB. So, CFR and KF are similar, everyone. CF is just more because CF equals CFR plus insurance. Similarly, CBT and CAB are alike, and CAB is more than CBT in terms of insurance. Now, the difference between CFR, CF, and below is the group below, which is the group above CFR, CF along with FAS and LP. It is a method, or the terms for the method of sea transport only, while CBT and CABI can be used for all modes of transport: sea, air, and road. First, CFR stands for cost and rate, meaning the seller will pay the shipping freight charges. However, in this term, the part about delivery and transfer of risk DO, where does it lie? Delivery is made. Delivery and transfer of risk DU occurs when the seller has placed the goods on board the ship. Then the risk DU is considered transferred to the buyer. This is a special point in this term. Although the seller will pay the costs, including the costs from this ship to here, the point of transfer of risk lies at this position. Similarly, CAF, CBT, and CBP are all like this. All the terms in Group C are like this. In CAF, besides paying the freight charges, which cover the transport from the export port to the import port, the seller must also purchase insurance, which is the insurance as well, okay? Then, the CPT and CEP terms are similar to CFR and CF. They are also straightforward, but they are used for multimodal transport instead of sea transport. Next is Group D. Group D includes DAP, DPU, and DDP. DAP means delivery at a point. Where is this point? This point is after the goods have arrived at the import port. Any location from this port to the buyer's warehouse can use DP. However, DP means delivery at a location, but the goods have not yet been unloaded from the transport vehicle. Meanwhile, DPU means the goods are delivered at a point and have already been unloaded from the transport vehicle. Once the goods have been unloaded, you will use the DPU term, okay? And from the part where Group C transitions to Group D, the seller will have the responsibility to pay the freight charges because the transfer point is up to here. Got it? Alright. And the TDP is the highest term in Group D. It means delivery to a location and includes duty. Duty refers to taxes and fees. For example, import fees and taxes, the seller will also pay for the buyer. That's it. Just to emphasize a bit on the shipping part, this is the boundary line, everyone. The terms that are on the later side, the seller will handle the shipping as well. As for the terms that are before this red boundary line, the buyer will handle the shipping. So, we have a total of 11 terms. And when we draw a diagram like this, it becomes very easy for you to remember, and you can look at the diagram and understand it. Each term, as well as where the transfer of risk due is, and who handles the shipping, and who is responsible for the cost, up to what point the costs are covered. Okay, right? So that's it. Vi has finished sharing the tip to quickly remember the Incoterms. If you find this video helpful, please click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to receive updates on Vi's latest shared videos. Vi will try to update the videos weekly, and I hope these videos will be useful and provide a lot of knowledge and benefits to you all, as well as thank you for taking the time to watch my channel. Thank you and goodbye.